Hey y'all, I am making an apple pie. So really quickly wanted to let you know that because we're cutting apples, the lemon helps so your apples don't turn brown. But make sure you stir with a wooden spoon. The reason I'm saying that is because the metal can also cause your apples to turn brown. So use a glass bowl when you're stirring and cutting this. Try not to use a metal bowl, again, so your apples don't turn brown. And then we got our butter there. I'm using our local Dairy Gold yummy butter, but we're gonna get this lovely apple pie going. After we stirred it up, you can see it's just really to cover it, cover those apples lightly. Over here, and I'm working on the crust. Now you can see that, here's my rolling pin. You can see I had a clean surface. I put down the flour and rolling out the dough. Now here are some cracks. These are cracking. So I took a little bit of water, dipped my finger in it, and I'm just kind of mending these cracks. It happens, it splits sometimes. So I'm just mending a little bit of water, dipping my finger in, a little bit of water, mending them together. I'm gonna push them together. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of flour on top. Okay, and then I'm gonna re-roll. And I always start in the center. I work one way, start in the center, work the other way, do both sides. Start in the center, work one way, center, work the other way. And you can see now where I've mended. I have actually mended my dough. So super simple and easy. A smaller pie. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this, is great for quiche. So it's a smaller dish, but I only had about 4 or 5 apples. Some of them were kind of small. So I'm not making a huge pie, and I'm not putting on a crust. I'm actually gonna make a crumble. But they were apples that needed to be used. I didn't want to toss them. They weren't great eating apples. I had a couple Granny Smiths and a couple Fujis. And I love mixing. Always add at least 1 Granny Smith or 2 to your apple pie. I promise you will be way, way better. So I'm gonna flip this in there. Just one. See, I am lightly taking up the edges, very lightly. Okay, so just, oops, sorry, bad camera angle there. But I am slowly. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay, you guys? Just doesn't. But what we're gonna do is we are going to flip it in half, and then in a quarter, like a kind of folding a pizza. In half, in a quarter. Now it's in the pan, and what I'm going to do is just unfold it about halfway over. See how that goes, like that? And now it's in my pan, and it ripped, but that's okay. We can mend it. It's not a big deal. Just a little bit of water. And we're gonna put this on the inside here, a little bit of water. And we're just gonna patch it. It happens all the time to people, and their pies, I promise you, still come out beautifully. So just a little bit of water. That's why I have water handy. Water is amazing. For many, many things, and then what we're doing is we're just mending it, just like glue. So it's just like glue, just mending that. But we're gonna kind of poke it down a little bit so we have extra. Okay, and then I'll show you in a minute. Okay, and then I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so we are going to roll this, and then I'm going to show you how to pinch. So let's see if okay. Not sure if you can actually see what I'm doing. Honestly, we'll find out, but I'm just carefully rolling this dough under. I cut, so there's only about 1/2 inch. And so I'm kind of at an angle rolling it. And again, if it starts to rip, it's okay. You can salvage these imperfections. First of all, and if it doesn't look perfect, people are going to know it's homemade, which is better anyway, right? And that you didn't buy it from a store. But slightly roll it at an angle underneath. It does not have to be perfect. This is going to be not a huge pie, okay? We don't have a lot of family tonight over. Probably just me and the girls will eat it because my husband is so good. He does not eat sweets. It's amazing. I don't know what's wrong with him. He just does not have a taste for them. Okay, so you can see, here's the pie. Trust me, there are a few imperfections. If you want to take a little piece like this to mend at the bottom, you can. It's really not necessary. It's not going to leak through. But you can see I did patch a little bit. Okay? But with that being said, I'm going to pinch this all underneath. And it's going to look lovely, actually. And you just take two fingers, your crab claws. All right. So now this is very easy because this particular pie dish, has some of it already built in, the wave. So you just kind of go with the flow, right? It's not difficult at all. I would definitely use foil to cover so your crust at the edges don't get burnt. Some of the crust here is a little bit higher than others. Again, you guys, here's the deal. I don't care. I'm not trying to make perfection. I'm trying to make a really tasty, simple, quick dessert because I'm using my apples that I've had sitting in the basket. Some people ate, some people didn't. This morning I was like, Riley was in a hurry for work. And I said, well, grab an apple, honey. Just apple and some cheese. She's like, Mom, the only thing those apples are good for is a pie. Look at them. They're starting to get yucky and aged looking. I said, oh, God, I didn't realize that. So when that happens, you guys, what you can do very easily is you can soak them. So cut them in half and then soak them in water for about 15 minutes. And then what you do is you take off the skin, soak them again. And that aged, old face look of the apple honestly will go away. There's nothing wrong with those apples. They're not bad. They're not moldy. As long as there's no cuts in them, they're perfectly fine. They're still very sweet. They'll be fine. So, and with all the sugar, yeah, they'll be totally fine. So now I'm going to just cut up some chunks of butter as I eat a little bit of my, and all that is flour and butter and water. So it's fine. So I'm just going to cut up about 4 or 5 tablespoons, or teaspoons, whatever. I spread it around. I just cut it up, spread it around. Okay. Now what this is going to do when it's baking, it's all going to kind of ooze and gel together. It's going to be fabulous, okay? So you can even cut it in half even more if you want, like that. Okay? Now, in a separate bowl, I'm going to make the yummy topping. So let me get on that. Okay, so we're adding the oatmeal. Now, some recipes call for like almond flour or what have you. We have allergies to nuts, so we don't add nuts. Some recipes will call for pecans or walnuts. I'm not adding nuts, but I am adding a half of cup of flour. And I prefer brown sugar, so I'm adding the brown sugar. I also added a dash of salt, and I added a little bit of cinnamon already. And then I'm going to stir that up. Now, for this, you can use any kind of spoon you want to use. If you'd like to use a fork, that's fine too, because we are going to add some butter to it as well, okay? And what I would recommend doing, honestly, I'm going to have to put the camera down because my tripod broke. Of course it did. But, so I'm just stirring this up, and I'm going to add some butter, and then I'm going to use my fingers, you guys. Honestly, I am using my fingers to break it up, and I'm going to kind of clump it up a little bit and put it on top of the apple pie. Okay, so quite simply, here we are. I just dusted it with the flour topping. It'll be super easy. The butter's already mixed up in it. I always show you guys what my sink looks like whenever I do a recipe. This is life. It gets messy. But my tip to you is always have a warm, sudsy bowl of water, and then that way you can very quickly wash your items and then put them up here. You know, this is my little dry area where I put things to dry. But this is life, folks. This is life. Making things taste good is ugly and messy, but it's fun and it's worth it. So wait till you see the end result. I'm going to pop this in the oven at 375. You can see 375 for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you guys, I'm going to turn it down to 350 and cook it for another about 45 to 50 minutes. I can take the tinfoil off about 15 minutes before it's done, just to make sure it does get that golden crust. And it'll be super great, so stay tuned.